everyone. This is Tanya McCausland, and welcome to our first Diamond 6 faculty interview. Every month, I will interview a different faculty member so we can get to know them just a little bit better, personally and professionally. I will ask each faculty member the same 5 questions, and at the end, I also have a set of 5 rapid fire questions to ask them as well. So I'm really excited to kick off this series and introduce you a little bit more to some of our incredible faculty members over the next few months. So of course, we're starting the series by interviewing Jeff McCausland, our founder and CEO. So welcome, Jeff. Thanks for doing this.
It's great to be with you, Tanya.
All right, so we're just going to jump right in and start off with, what's your story? Give us the personal and professional highlights of where you came from and what got you to where you are today.
Okay, well, born and raised in a small town in West Central Illinois. Even as a youngster, I decided I didn't want to stay there and I wanted to see good parts of the world. So I went off to West Point, thinking I might want to spend some time in the Army. And of course, it was a high quality education, which was also going to be free by military service. And there went into the Army and went to Europe at the very beginning of my military career. Had a really good assignment over there in the artillery and was fortunate to meet my lovely bride of Mariana, and she and I have been married now for over 40 years and have 3 wonderful children. So throughout my time in the Army, spent about 12 years in Germany, spent time teaching at West Point for 3 years, got a graduate degree, a master's and doctorate at the Fletcher School on the way to West Point. Spent time in the Pentagon, then back to Germany, of course, as a major and a lieutenant colonel. Commanded the battalion in Germany. We were alerted and deployed in 1990, in December 1990, to Saudi Arabia as part of Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. So led that battalion of about 750 soldiers throughout that particular conflict, which was certainly one of the most, if not the most, impactful leadership experience of my life. Finished my military career as the Dean of Academics at the United States Army War College here in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where we developed senior leaders for the military. And as part of my time here, was also reassigned temporarily on the National Security Council staff in the White House during the Kosovo crisis and worked on that. All my time in the Army in retirement in 2002, I accepted the leadership chair at the United States Naval Academy, which was interesting for an old Army officer and an incredible experience dealing with a slightly different culture. And then from there, I came back here to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and was on the faculty at Dickinson College, running a leadership program and teaching. Subsequently, I've taught leadership at Penn State University at the Dickinson School of Law, and then founded Diamond 6 along with Tanya, which we have been running now for the last 15 years. For more than 15 years, I've also been a national security consultant for CBS radio and television, which has been a fascinating experience working with the media, trying to explain to people contemporary things that are going on around the world. And that has also taken me back to Iraq 4 or 5 times, taken me to Afghanistan, Guantanamo, and several other places.
Great. That was a lot in a very brief period of time. So you alluded to it very briefly, but what experiences have impacted you the most as a leader, and how does that experience still influence you today?
Well, there were several. I'm sure going to West Point was one of the most singular important experiences for me, based not only on the quality of the education, but the fact that West Point prides itself in developing leaders for the military. That's what its history and brand is all about. And they certainly, I think, do an excellent job. And from that, of course, experience in the Army as a leader, a commander of troops in the field, including certainly command in combat. Those were very important things. And in terms of what I learned from all that, is leadership, I think, is that one thing that is most critical to the success of any organization. And furthermore, the leadership is fungible. And what I mean by that, good quality leadership is good quality leadership, I firmly believe. There's no necessarily adjectives in front of leadership. There's not military leadership or business leadership or religious leadership. Leadership is good leadership, whether you're leading a sports team or you're leading a military unit combat or you're leading a corporation. Culture as the organization may vary, but good leadership is good leadership. And then last but not least, the fundamental thing that ties the leader to the organization is that they trust him or her. Trust is the glue that connects the leader to the organization. And fundamental to establishing trust is the people in your organization have got to believe that you are a person of character, ethics, and integrity, and as a consequence are willing to follow you even at difficult moments, and knowing full well you have their well-being and the well-being of the organization, they hope, as the most important thing for you.
So we all have moments where we feel maybe a little uninspired in our work or a little sort of directionless. So how do you stay or have stayed motivated, engaged, and inspired in your work?
Yeah, I think it's about purpose. You know, the mission of Diamond Six is to help develop leaders so they can have the greatest impact on their communities and their organizations. And I just think about that. And we deal with about 60 or 70% of our clients are involved in education. They're either running large school districts or education associations. So I oftentimes think about the impact we're having on those leaders and indirectly through them to other leaders in education and to all those students, all those kids that they're developing to be the next generation of the country. Several times I've had my team at the end of the year, for example, kind of calculate based on the organizations we've met with and extrapolating out to try to get some rough idea of how many people we're indirectly touching. And it's phenomenal when you do that you find it's literally tens, if not 100,000 people or more, or hundreds of thousands of people that you are touching. And so you really believe, and I think that's what motivates me, that you are actually making a difference in some small way. You're making a difference in those organizations and ultimately in those people's lives.
So a leader is someone, I know we talk about this at Diamond Six frequently, someone who continuously works on themselves and their passions. So what leadership qualities do you continue to work on or develop for yourself?
Yeah, I think first of all, you've got to be a certain amount of introspective. We talk an awful lot about self-awareness as being one of the key things that successful leaders have to be all about. As you said, Tanya, you know, that leadership is a journey and not a destination. We're all on that journey. It's something we need to recognize at the onset we'll never perfect because the environment will change that our team is operating in, our team will change. And it's that constant change which makes it attractive and fun and challenging. But you're never going to perfect it. You're never going to hit the absolute. So for me, at least, the two things that I often think that are some of my particular weaknesses are, I don't like to think about people having weaknesses, just things they believe they need to be better, I think is a better way of looking at it. Probably listening, that I really make an honest effort to listen to people and encourage people on my team or people that I'm working with to speak up, because you can very easily or inadvertently by your actions kind of cut people off and you won't even know you've done it unintentionally. So really ensuring you're listening and encouraging people to speak up. And then second of all, looking for those opportunities to empower members of your team, empower them and encourage them, coach them and mentor them. Because ultimately what you're trying to do is, frankly, I always say the number one thing a leader is trying to do is make himself or herself irrelevant. Like, so when I step away, which we all will at some point in time, that the organization is going to continue to flourish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So kind of sticking with the sort of personal development, I guess, theme, you know, developing healthy habits that fuel leadership and a healthy career outlook starts in our personal lives. Our personal lives certainly flow over into our professional lives, whether we like it or not. Is there something that you do in your personal time that helps you be a better leader?
Yeah, I really think exercise for me is key and essential. And what I like to do, of course, is I like to ride bikes. I've done an awful lot of bike riding, particularly during the pandemic. And now here in the wintertime, doing a lot of skiing. And by the nature of bike riding and skiing, it seems to me it also offers me the opportunity to do a lot of thinking. If you're cruising on a bike and a lovely path, you know, it gives your mind a chance to relax. And I find I get some of my best ideas actually when I'm out riding a bike. And in similar fashion, when you're on a ski slope, you know, if you actually clock yourself on a ski slope, you'll learn, much to your chagrin, that only a fraction of your time is actually spent on the slope. Frankly, most of your time is spent on the ski lift, riding up to the top of the mountain. But it's a beautiful view on a ski slope, and the sun's out, hopefully, and it's blue sky and fresh air, and it gives you a chance to kind of calmly reflect, think. And so to me, exercise is key and essential. And then the other thing is reading. I try to do a lot of reading. And any given moment, I'm on reading 2 or 3 different books and a lot of different stuff each day, articles, newspapers, magazines, whatever I can get my hands on. But I think the reading and getting different perspectives are key and essential in that development process that we both agree is an endless part of being developed as a leader.
Mm-hmm. Great. So those are my 5 questions, but now I have 5 rapid fire questions. So are you ready for the rapid fire?
I'm ready.
Okay. So these are just short questions with quick, short answers. All right. What was your first job?
Paper route in the 2nd grade. And then I graduated to working in a store for 50 cents an hour.
All right. What is the greatest song of all time, according to you?
Imagine by John Lennon.
All right. What are you currently reading?
Reading a book on the attack on Pearl Harbor, but written by a Japanese. And I find it interesting, get a varying perspective.
Okay. Speaking of, reading and getting different perspectives. You mentioned maybe, but what is one of your hobbies? It could be a new hobby or a lifelong hobby.
Well, I've talked about biking and reading. So I guess the other hobby that I really enjoy is travel. I really enjoy traveling, going to different places, meeting different people, eating different food, local foods, enjoying the culture.
Okay. And last one, finish this sentence. Being a great leader requires blank.
Help. Lots of help. You need people who are your coaches and mentors, and you really need to think through who they are. And then you need excellent teammates. I always come back as a guy who likes sports a lot by that great saying by Yogi Berra when asked, what does it take to create a world championship team? And Yogi looked at the sports writer and said, hire world championship players.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. You can't do it. You can't go it alone.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a leader without followers.
That's right. Yes. Great. Well, thank you. That was our interview for today. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you have a particular faculty member that you would like us to include in one of our upcoming interviews, please send us an email. Let us know at info@diamond6leadership.com. Jeff, thank you so much for doing this, and I look forward to talking to our next faculty member next month.
Thank you, Tony.
Great. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.